How you going everyone? Welcome to the third devlog of my Stealthy little QUOKKA game where I finally add some actual art. Quick refresher, it's a stealth-based power-up filled Metroidvania where you'll play as a QUOKKA sneaking around Rottnest Island off the coast of Western Australia. You'll have to avoid the selfie-hungry humans and obtain stealthy power-ups to access other areas of the island.
Cool.
So far we've got the character movement, NPC movement using a finite state machine, and basic player detection. So you can go watch my previous devlogs if you want to see that.
Okay.
But none of it's going to be in this video.
Oh.
Anyway, enough of these sad little squares floating around in the void. It's time to give this game a glow up. So let's get into it. I started by updating the palette from my last game and already felt the dread rising within me.
What a great start.
Look, I love drawing sprites, but when it comes to making colour palettes, I have no idea what I'm doing. Someone left a helpful comment on one of my videos suggesting hue shifting, so I thought I'd give that a crack.
You're just making it harder.
Basically, the trick is, as you go lighter, you shift towards warmer colours like yellow and drop the saturation. And as you go darker, you shift towards cooler colours like purple and raise the saturation. That's supposed to add a natural vibrance to your scene, so hopefully the different biomes will really pop. Fun fact, while only being 11 kilometers long and 4.5 kilometers wide, Rottnest is made up of 6 unique habitats. Coastal, scrub heath, wetlands, woodlands, ocean, and settlement areas. Alright, hue shifting doesn't seem too hard, let's give it a go.
Okay.
I found this website, which generates any number of colours and shifts them through the colour spectrum while also making them brighter or darker. Perfect. My first go didn't feel quite right, so I had a second go that was also not right. But my third go, still not right. Even after flipping it around the right way. It didn't feel natural at all and there was this clear line where the colours get significantly darker. I especially had problems with shading yellow. Like, do I go through the warmer colours like orange and red to get to purple, or the cooler colours like green and blue? I just arbitrarily picked the warmer direction and had to go at making one more palette with some different hue, saturation and lightness values to hopefully fix that weird line. It was maybe technically a little fainter, but it ended up looking almost exactly like the first one.
This is going well.
Whatever, I'll come back to that mess later. I needed a win and looking at those palettes was draining me quickly, so I decided to finally draw the QUOKKA. I grabbed a few reference photos and started blocking out the shape, keeping the size to 16 by 16 pixels. It started looking a bit like a bulldog, mixed with a prairie dog, but I powered through. Fun fact, QUOKKAs are marsupials in the macropod family, which means they're the smaller and smilier cousins of kangaroos and wallabies. It also means that they get around by hopping, which is adorable. After shaping it a little more, I tried it out in a different colour which seemed to improve it immediately. In my last game, I gave my wombat little beady eyes like they have in real life, which suited the style I was going for in that game, but I wanted to practice my even more cartoony drawing skills. So I changed their eyes to this. Or this? No, like this. I liked how it was turning out, but I thought I'd do one more anyway. I went with this one and started giving them outlines to help them stand out from the background. Adding outlines to their feet and tail had a weird effect, so I went with this method. I then tried it in a few different colours from the same palette to see which looked best. They all kinda look cool actually, but the first one was still my favourite at this point. Look at all these cuddly critters. The crazy thing is that these 32 QUOKKAs could be part of just 2 families since, fun fact, QUOKKA mothers have around 17 joeys in their lifespan. Next up, I made a quick little idle animation by moving their head and body up and down with 1 frame difference. It ended up looking weird, so I tried a few more versions. This was the first one. This one moves just the top half of the QUOKKA.
Cute.
This one just adds some pouch wiggle.
That sentence feels illegal.
This one makes their whole body bounce, which I did not
like that.
Yeah, I don't like it either. This one's a slight variation of the first one. Better, but still weird. And this one, I guess, is them breathing?
Take that one to the vet.
Okay. After all that, I think this first simple one looked the best, so I picked that and moved on to cosmetic background tiles to hopefully add a little variance to the scene early on. Was it an unnecessary painful journey back to square one? Yes. Was it necessary? No, I just said it wasn't. But should you like and subscribe for it? Yeah. I could already tell the colour palette was going to be a problem when the grass looked blue and the harsh changes into the darker colours made shading not work properly. Like these two colours are right next to each other in the palette. But I pushed ahead and sketched a few things anyway. Typically, quokkas prefer areas with more vegetation, especially on the mainland, since it provides them with a wider variety of food and cover from predators like dingoes, red foxes and feral cats. But this is Rottnest, where the quokkas have no natural predators. Except, unfortunately, some humans. Okay, I'll get them some more vegetation soon. I thought I'd check the palette one last time by starting the NPC Sprite. I didn't know what shape they were going to be at this point, but I was mostly just checking to see if the colours would work together for now. Things were going okay, until this point, when I realised the sudden drop into darkness in the palette was going to make things impossible to shade properly. Like that's supposed to be a shadow, not facial hair.
What? I thought it was a beard.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, whatever, it's time to literally go back to the drawing board again. I was starting to get rid of the harsh change in tone, so that was going well. But I was still struggling with which way to go through the colour palette when shading yellow, which meant it looked totally different to orange when they got darker, even though they're right next to each other. I was spiraling again and I already had this many palettes in the making. So I decided to come up with some sort of system with a rigid set of hue, saturation and lightness values, and made another palette hoping this one would be smoother. You can see I still didn't know what to do with yellow and just went with both directions for now. What was that? You?
No, I just pitched down the original ad.
After literally hours of small tweaks, I had this many working palettes. All of them slightly different, all of them somehow still wrong. I was lost in a sea of colour, with no paddle, no compass, and still no idea what to do with yellow. So I just put it away for a day or two. Speaking of being lost at sea, fun fact, there are 13 known shipwrecks found in the waters surrounding Rottnest Island, from ships that were destroyed in its reef from 1842 to 1984. When I came back, I had a new plan. Mix in the yellow and purple to the colours instead of shifting them through the colour spectrum. It was my new plan, but it was also just the proper way to hue shift. I made traditional tints and shades of each colour, while also lessening saturation in the tints and raising it in the shades. Then I mixed in a little bright yellow into the tints and a little dark purple into the shades. And I came up with this, which was way more like what I had in mind from the beginning. The colours actually work seamlessly together. Finally. Yes, finally. That's what I just said. I actually originally came up with this, but I didn't like how yellow it got in the tints. So for reference, here's the last palette I made before changing to this method. I guess I never figured out which way to go on the yellow. Then this was the first one I made after. And this is the one I made after that. The tints may now not be yellow enough, but I was happy enough with it for now and I did not want to look at colours anymore. I threw them all into a little test scene to see how they looked in action. Fun fact, these two can be this close together because, unlike their kangaroo cousins, who will often fight over territory, quokkas are happy to coexist peacefully with each other. And everyone apparently. They're often seen hopping into the shops on Rottnest to say hello to everyone. Anyway, the first one actually kinda has a cool vibe to it, but I already knew it wasn't going to work with the other sprites. These next two are much closer to what it will be in the final game, but with a few post-processing effects added on. Which one looks better to you? 1 or 2? Anyway, that's all for this devlog. Drawing the quokka was fun, but making the palette was rough, so I was glad it was mostly over. For now at least. Next time I'll be diving into sort ordering so the character can walk in front of or behind stuff depending on their position, tweaking the camera a little more, and having another go at drawing the NPC sprite. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video and the development process so far. See ya folks. Have a good one.